In this lesson, you will be able to describe the different types of data that are used and collected by modern computing innovations. You will be able to define personally identifiable information as information about an individual that identifies, links, relates, or describes them. You will be able to explain how disparate pieces of personal information can be combined to identify individuals or deduce other private information. Think about this. Take a look at, here's a big list of pieces of information. The following pieces of information are things that could be collected about you by various apps and computer innovations. I want you to take a look and consider which ones of these you think are private or personal, as in you wouldn't want it shared with just anyone. Your full name, your social security number, your favorite musician or band, a picture of your face, your fingerprint, your birth date, your address, where you go after school, your phone number, medical history, your racial or ethnic identity, a list of your best friends, a list of everything you've bought this month, a recording of your voice, your IP address, a video of you singing a song, your academic history report card, the town or city you live in. Realize all of this information is out there on the internet about you. Which parts of it do you consider private or personal? Now, this prompt sets up the rest of this lesson, where you will be exploring instances where many of the pieces of information on this list are used by the services you use every day. Think about what it means to say that something is personal or private. This is a lens you should take into this lesson, the lens through which you want to look critically at what information is collected. Some items on this list that are some of the items on this list are biometric data. Biometric data is information about you, things that can identify you. A picture of your face, your fingerprint, and voice or video recordings. Are these considered any more private or personal than the other items? Why or why not? We know that computing innovations need data to run, but we don't always think about just how personal or private that information may be. We're about to kick off a two-part lesson. In today's lesson, or at least the first half of the lesson, we're going to look at just how much personal data we share online. And then either later today or tomorrow, depending on timing in class, we will debate the pros and cons of sharing all that data. Now, you should have either in your possession, downloaded, or I've handed out to you, depending on the situation in the class, the activity guide for Unit 10, Lesson 3, Data Policies and Privacy. You may get this activity guide either from the Canvas course or from code.org. Both of them would be in Unit 10, Lesson 3. Now, most good websites and apps will have a privacy policy that explains the data that they collect and the way it's used. We've seen them before, but we've probably not read them. Not closely anyway. Before we continue, let's take a look at the truth about privacy policies. Now, I've started this video, 15 seconds in, to omit a profanity. At least I've tried to skip over it. Okay? But this is the truth about privacy policies. If you haven't watched this, or if you're doing your lesson asynchronously by yourself because you missed class, please watch this video. Do be aware that there is an instance where profanity is written. If that bothers you, just sort of fast forward past the 15-second mark. Okay? Now, today, in this first part of the lesson, we're going to practice reading data policies to get a sense for what kinds of information is actually being collected by modern computing innovations like websites and apps. We're going to spend today, first part of this lesson filling out the front part of the activity guide. In the next lesson, we'll think more deeply about whether we think the trade-offs of privacy are worth it. But you don't need to worry about that side of the activity guide just yet. What I want everyone to do is to pick a website or app of your own and complete the front page of the activity guide. We're going to do the back side a little bit later. Some apps or services to consider. In education, you could look at code.org, Khan Academy, codeacademy.com, even Delta Math, code.org. On social media, you could look at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Online stores, Amazon, Target, Walmart. Search engines, Google, Bing. Maps, MapQuest, Yahoo Maps, Google Maps, Productivity, MS Office, Google Docs, Mail and Communication, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail, Skype, Google Hangouts. You could look at streaming sites, Netflix, Spotify, Pandora, gaming sites, Steam, Xbox Live, banks and financial institutions like Chase and Citibank. These are all places that you could go. And when you go there, what I want you to do is choose the app or the website, go to their website. The easiest way to find a data policy, if it exists, is to search the company name followed by the terms data policy or privacy policy. Once you get to one that you want, note what your website or app is. And then you're going to look at that data policy. You're going to respond to 4 questions. And even if you can't find the information, you should record where you looked and the fact that you can't find it. That's not a cop-out. You need to look hard. If there isn't a policy or it's hard to find, that can be just as interesting as seeing the policy itself. Now, what I really want you to do, though, is understand what's in a data policy. So do try to find something that has a data policy, whether or not you feel like you can answer all these questions from the one that you find. We're going to take about 20-25 minutes to go and do that. Okay, now if you're back, if you haven't paused the video, go do that. Otherwise, moving on, some key takeaways from this activity are the following. Personally identifiable information, PII, information about an individual that identifies, links, relates, or describes them. Technology enables the collection, use, and exploitation of information about, by, and for individuals, groups, and institutions. Geolocation, cookies, and browsing history can all be used to create knowledge about an individual. Most digital technology needs some kind of PII to work. For example, street navigation needs to know your location, or PII stored online to simplify making online purchases. Other times, websites collect more data to improve their services. Many services and websites collect information, like your browser history, that can be used to advertise to you by creating detailed profiles of who you are and what you like. Search engines also can record and maintain a history of searches made by users. This information can be used to suggest websites or for targeted marketing. Once data is made digital, and especially once it's shared online, it's much harder to control. Personally identifiable information can be used to steal the identity of a person or stalk them online. Information that is often posted on social media can be combined to create a profile on you. Somebody doesn't have to find all the information in one place. They can dig around and piece it together like a giant puzzle. Now, assuming we don't have any kind of delayed opening or early closing, we should have time to move on to Unit 10, Lesson 4, the value of privacy.